Well, I know by now that you're really entranced by the beautiful Japanese art form of Ikebana, but we're going to take it a step further by doing some demonstrations and showing some beautiful arrangements live here in the studios. I'm joined by J. Marie Buttross with the Ikebana International Society here locally, and it's a pleasure to have you back to Central Texas Gardener, J. Marie.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Well, this is such a beautiful and I think very soulful art form. I'm real curious, why do you think this is such an important art form today for the people who practice it?
I really think it's important today because we live in such a busy, busy society. We're always going, always doing, and we really need to stop and enjoy nature because God has given us such beauty in nature. And by doing the Ikebana, your inner beauty comes out through your arrangements. And I think it just gives you a sense of peace. I know it does me, and serenity, and it's just a very pleasant way to have a beautiful day.
Yeah, you know, I think that for a lot of people, I love what you said about the busyness of our times. We're busy, we live almost at a violent speed, and we're distracted all the time by cell phones and this, that, and the other are always going off around us, that we forget to pay attention. And this is an art form that really calls for kind of maximum attention in a way.
Well, not only that, in doing Ikebana, you try to do within your arrangements the way the flower itself is in nature. So you need to be aware as you walk and see how the flower is growing, which way it presents itself, which way the leaf is top and bottom, and all this comes together in Ikebana. So it helps you to become more aware of nature as you're crossing the street or going down the sidewalk, whatever.
Or in your own garden, which is the case for you because that's where you get your subject material. Now, I know a lot of people might be tempted to go to the florist to get the flowers for these arrangements, but the plants that you use all come from your garden.
Exactly, exactly. I like to grow what I'm going to use and then go out in the yard and see what's there and then choose my material and then come in and decide, well, now is this a special occasion or am I doing this just for myself, and then arrange accordingly.
So you can do Ikebana with plants from anywhere in the world?
Yes.
Anywhere. Okay. So it doesn't, you don't have to go to Japan.
No, not at all.
Though that would be fun if you got the opportunity to do it. Now, we've been talking about this spiritual connection. You brought a couple of lovely arrangements. And I'd like to just kind of explore these a little bit with you in terms of what they express for you. The first one I'd like to talk about is one that's a low arrangement with gorgeous roses and some other, a lily and some other things. Share with us a little bit about the kind of the philosophy or the spirit of this particular arrangement.
Well, I belong to a school called Ichio, and they began in 1936. And that is when the Western movement was coming over to Japan somewhat. So they were being exposed to more different types of flowers and also a different environment socially. You would see tables and you would have a meal at a table with chairs, so we started needing centerpieces.
Okay.
And Ichio was one of the first to create the centerpiece. And as you will see in my arrangement, the roses are slanting toward the right side, so you would put this at the right end of your table. Yet it is visual and from all around, 360. And if you had a long table, you would put one slanted to the left side for the other side, for the other part of the table. If you had a really big table, then in the center, you would put a round one. And I chose the classic style of container because if you're going to do three, you really need something that is very simple and more of the classic style. If you're going to do just one, you could use some of your other containers, but that's why I chose that.
Yeah, well, it's gorgeous in its simplicity, and it just seems to kind of float there. You know, is that part of the spirit of this particular thing? What is expressed about the flowers in this arrangement?
Right. In Ikebana, you know, the religious philosophy behind it, you know, the Shinto was the first religion of the Japanese. And, you know, they had many deities, and they were tied to nature, you know, heaven and earth and man. And so many of the philosophy of the schools, your tallest one is heaven. And then comes earth. and then comes man.
Okay.
So the one that's the biggest and the lowest is usually man.
Okay.
And the highest one is usually heaven.
Okay.
And then where you see my shredded one, that would be my earth.
Okay. And the other arrangement you brought, lovely, a much more ethereal quality to it, less grounded in a way. And I really love this. This uses some other classic techniques, doesn't it?
Right. What's in that is normally, before they had the centerpieces and things like this, in a Japanese home, you have a niche. And so you're viewing this flower arrangement from the front only.
Okay.
And so the tall stems in this arrangement then would be your heaven. And this is a grouping kind of arrangement. And actually the ones I used were my sweet bay laurel.
Right.
And then the ones that are crossing over it, which again, Ichio was the first school to do a crossing method. Those are umbrella plants, which I'll show you later on how to do.
Umbrella sedge, right.
And then the ones in the front are orchids, because they're some of my favorites.
Yeah, well, it's absolutely lovely, and the vase that they're in is terrific as well. Now, let's show some of the techniques. And you have the umbrella sedge here.
Right.
And
you can do, see, this one is flowering from the winter. So if you wanted to, you could do something with this.
Right.
But what I've done is I've taken it and come up just a fistful and cut it off.
Okay.
And makes it nice and short and stubby. And you'll see where it was stubby in the one that was bent, but also if you look at the centerpiece one, under the roses, you'll see two very, very sharp ones.
Yes, yes.
And then one that's teeny that's right in front of it. But this stem bends very easily. And when you just have to take it and bend it.
Right.
And it'll pretty much hold its position.
Right. And then you can use, of course, there are devices within the container to hold them in place as you do
the
it.
Kinzon.
Kinzon, or what we would call a frog.
A frog, or some people call them pin cushions.
Right.
But the Kinzons that are made with the brass pins are actually the best. And then you've seen how I've had small ones, large ones.
Sure.
There are large ones like this that have irregular sizes for using wood and things like that.
Okay.
So this is what we would do to get this arrangement. And then if you had more than that, you would just cut them at different levels for what you wanted to do.
Now, you brought an aspidistra leaf as well, and in the short arrangement, there's this beautiful, I had to do a double take to see what that was, and then I finally figured out what it was, and that's a shredded aspidistra leaf, and you're just using your nails here.
Right, I'm just using my fingernails, and if you'll see on the aspidistra, they're veins.
Right.
So what you're going to do is just follow the vein, and you're going to go on, and it doesn't take too long to shred this thing. And today I chose to take one and actually roll it up and make it very short. But I'm going to show you that you don't even have to do that.
Right.
I've been out in my garden and I've lost a lot of fingernails. Sorry about that.
It's a rare thing to find nice fingernails on a gardener. Let me tell you that, Jim.
I'll tell you. But
okay, and then you would just clip it off.
Right, but in this, you can have it in your arrangement where it's like that.
Okay.
And what I chose to do is cut the stem very, very short.
Okay.
And I just put it through here.
And voila.
And we have a little one like that.
Okay. Well, people can learn a lot more about all of this at an upcoming event in San Antonio, and that's going to be happening in February. We have information about that online. And tell us very briefly about the event.
Well, it's on the 5th of February, and it's the Asian Festival, and they try to bring in all the different Asian arts. And so our group has been invited to do the flower arrangements.
Well, that's wonderful, and people can learn more about that at klru.org/CTG. And J. Marie, thank you for sharing this gorgeous art form with us.
You're very welcome.
All right.
My pleasure.
Okay, well, coming up next is Daphne Richards.